ESPN 93.5.
Really like what Shannon Walker does. She's with Northwest Battle Buddies. Shannon, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good to have you back on the show. You train dogs for post-traumatic stress disorder and veterans that need that assistance, and your success rate has been off the charts, and love what you do. The first year home may be the most dangerous for veterans. Why so?
Well, I think, what the study shows us, but I think it's because when they're in the military, sometimes half a lifetime, they have a mission, they have a purpose, they have a trained, specialty that they are doing. They feel camaraderie. They're there with their men and women in arms, brothers and sisters in arms, on a mission. And so often when they come out of the military, we haven't been good at preparing them for that transition or making sure that they have a support system when they leave the military. And so often they feel alone because they don't have their battle buddy with them. And so, there's been times I even maybe spoke on your show, but talking about, what it's like for them to have to try to reintegrate and what that means. And unfortunately, when we're dealing with a suicide rate of 22 veterans a day in America, that first year would, it makes sense that it would be the most volatile because that is when their transition is most shocking and they're trying to find a way to reintegrate and have purpose and have a support system. And, in the military, they have a continuous support system to the right and to the left of them and the front and the back. And so often when they come out, they're alone, and it just leaves them vulnerable.
Shannon, I think, and it might be a sad reflection, but I think you could build about as many hospitals as you wanted for mentally ill people in this country, and you just have a lot of business. I just think there's a lot there. The most difficult thing, or there's two things. Number one, it's really hard to tell. Number two, it's a stigma. Why is mental illness still a stigma with veterans or anybody?
Well, I think it's because people feel shame, and it's, the veterans that we work with, they don't want to ask for help. They don't want to admit, especially the veterans that, like I said, we provided 38 service dogs to 38 veterans in 5 years for 100% free of charge. They don't want to come ask for help. They don't want to admit they need it. They, spent, years and years of their life being strong, being independent, being very self-sufficient. And it's hard for anybody to ask for help, let alone somebody that has lived that kind of life or had that kind of conditioning.
Yeah, you're tough.
And,
you're just trained to work through everything, be a man, stand up, you're fine, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, suck it up.
Yep.
Suck it up. You're fine. Get over yourself.
Right.
My boys serve in the military. I have twin boys. They're in the Army and Marines.
Wow.
And, as soon as they went into boot camp, I don't know how many times I talked about something and I heard the term suck it up from one of my boys. Of course, in a loving, playful way, but the fact is that they are taught to do that.
Yeah.
And so often when they do need help, they don't know where to go. And so that's why, shows like this, it makes an incredible difference for people who are hearing, whether it's a loved one or a family member, to find ways, to find resources out there for American heroes that are so deserving, but to make it tangible for them so they have a direction of where to go. So education is so important because there isn't a stigma. PTSD is called invisible wounds of war for a reason. It's because it's not obvious that they need help, and so it's hard for them to ask. And I think there's a lot of reasons because of that.
Yeah, it'd also be nice to figure out why some things affect others differently than others, Some people are okay with this and others aren't. I mean, it's
absolutely.
And you have twin sons, and I have triplets, Shannon, and these are three babies born in a minute, and just so different, individuals. And the same for your boys, I'm sure, is that, and one's going to react differently than the other. Do you worry much when they're out there serving?
You know what? I've been asked that question before, and I will tell you this. My father was a Korean War veteran, and he taught me when you're in the presence of a veteran, you're in the presence of a hero, even though he never considered himself one. And I raised my children to believe in God and family and country, just like my father raised me. And you know what? I've had people ask me, am I concerned about my children? And you know what? I'm concerned about my children every day, but at the same time, I am not going to at all diminish their passion in life and their love for this country to serve, and I just leave that to God and what I'm learning to help support them throughout their decision making right now as they're active military.
Well, you're a woman of faith. You're a good woman. You do good things and help a lot of people. Somebody just texted in that sometimes you don't want to say anything because you might lose your FOID card. That's a good point. If people think you're mental and have issues, then you could lose a FOID card, meaning you can't carry a weapon, and they're used to that. So, yeah, there's a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Some of the veterans that I've spoke with, you know, I tell you what, their right to bear arms is something that's very, very important to them.
You bet.
And that is something that's a concern. And, I mean, it's important to me, too. But, you know, that not only is it an American right, but it also goes to their training that they maintain their weapon to an unbelievable degree.
Okay, Northwest Battle Buddies, you train dogs for veterans, for heroes. I wish you had $1 bazillion you could put out on Milton, because you can't fill the need, right?
Absolutely. We have a waiting list right now of about 50 veterans waiting. It's right now at about 2.5 years. We are completely funded by private donations.
That's awesome. How do they reach you if they want to give money? We have somebody out there want to give you money. How do they do it, Shannon?
NorthwestBattleBuddies.org. They can also find us on Facebook.
Listen, keep up your great work. We appreciate what you do, Shannon.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Shannon Walker. She's out in, I think, the great state of Washington. Northwest Battle Buddies. And if you want to help them, that's awesome. They train, and they just have a tremendous success. But they got 50 veterans that want a dog. And it takes a long time to train them up, too. But then they can wake you up from nightmares. It's amazing. Amazing. We love doggies.